Hello everyone, my name is Pidquin, and today I'm here to talk about what made me come back to RWBY. The reason you're watching me so in the background is because I figured if I'm making videos, I want to do something that will help me be accountable to my 2021 sewing goals at the same time. So you may keep me in the background if you'd like, or watch me sew if you'd like that. I know I'm hemming a knit fabric, but I like the way it turned out in the end, so don't hate me on that, or say anything about that, please. And before we officially begin, I'd like to say this is how I feel alone. No one's paying me to say this. And, I mean, others may feel the same way, but this is just me speaking for myself. I'm not just like a Ruby hating sheep. Also, one major spoiler will come up from Volume 5, but other than that, I'm gonna leave it as spoiler free as possible because I don't know who dropped Ruby and who didn't. With that, I'm going to dive into why I came back. First, I'd like to say I was a huge Ruby fan when Ruby first started. I think Volume 2 was completely out when I came back to it the first time because, let's face it, Volume 1 was very cliche, clunky, and well, the first volume. Background characters were just shadowy things, but the main story and the fights reminded me what I had to look forward to upon coming back, especially after my sister told me that a certain character gave Irene Adler vibes. That said, I did feel some type of way towards Volume 3. We lost Monty, and with him, I feel I also lost a sense of a genuine series. What I mean by this is that, to me, there is a sense of feeling Ruby becoming more of a franchise than remaining as a series. After all, Ruby Chibi came out and a launch of Chibi Ruby figures that I spent so much money on to get the first collection. Now, don't get me wrong, this is fine. I liked Volume 3 a lot. I even liked Volume 4, despite lots of friends not sharing that sentiment. Friends were no longer interested in Ruby after the first 5 or 6 episodes. I didn't blame them. A lot wasn't going on. However, I could feel Ruby's fight slowing down, but I still thought they were very good. My favorite fight, and the most memorable one to me, was Tyrion versus Team Ranger slash Crow. The Crow part was the best to me, and Tyrion became one of my favorite villains after the loss of Roman and the absence of Neo. Now, Volume 4 did feel like it was more dialogue driven than franchise slash fan service driven. I felt this was the last drop of a genuine series till Volume 6, but that's kind of where a lot of people seem to drop Ruby because nothing was happening. Like, a lot could have been cut out. Everything with Wise could have been cut or was almost repetitive. Because, I mean, how many songs did we already have where Wise said her father no longer controlled her? Like Mirror Mirror 2, and that song during the Vital Festival. Yet she's still fighting to get away from him? Okay. But it was still pretty boring to watch her go through something she claimed to have already gone through. I did think it was important to see Weiss lose becoming an heiress to the Schnee Company, because then she had to completely learn who she was without it. Other than that, yeah, I felt a lot could have been cut. That being said, Blake's arc was kind of pointless. Adam's hold on the White Fang didn't have to be, you know what? We all know there was basically nothing but talking that season. And a lot of points brought up in conversation were already explained in the World of Remnant series. It just seemed like there was a lot of information that went nowhere or had to be drilled into our brain. RWBY fans know this. I still like this volume above others because while it was a setup volume and the big fight at the end was rushed, the big impactful moments were actually very impactful. John's solo training with a video of Pyrrha will always make me feel some kind of way. Ruby's letter to her sister was well worded to develop how she can't just say, let's have hope anymore. Crow's fight was good, Yang getting back on her feet even stronger was great, Ren's semblance getting revealed was cool, even if I wasn't entirely sure what I saw. Crow getting poisoned was nice suspense. Wait. Side note. Are we just never gonna know what he was talking about while he was, like, talking while dying? Because I remember he said stuff, and we all theorized it was about Summer, but, like, it's volume 8 now, and I doubt Rooster Teeth has time to bring that up again. So, can we get some answers at the next con or something? Because girl's curious. Anyway, the point is, some good happened during volume 4. Volume 5. That's when I stopped watching almost altogether. Volume 5 was where a lot of my friends went from watching as soon as the episode dropped to almost none of my friends had seen any of the episodes after the third or fourth one, and the volume finished like months before. I remember not even finishing the volume myself for some time, even though volume 6 was out, because the volume fell flat for me. Okay, so a reminder, or quick synopsis, I guess. Ranger had Crow, and Oscar finds them in like episode 1 or 2. They arrive at Haven to get the Haven relic. Weiss ran away but is captured by Raven. Yang is coincidentally looking for Raven to find Ruby. And Blake is going to Haven to stop Adam's control of the White Fang. Sound familiar? Cool, because I almost forgot where Volume 5 and 6 started and end. Recently, I forgot who Hazel was too, because, like, forgettable character. Anyway, Volume 5 wasn't exciting the first 3 or 4 episodes, because there was more talking after we just had a volume of talking. And yeah, Weiss fought that giant bumblebee thing, but the action was so slow it wasn't exciting. Also to note on this volume, this was the very fan servicey franchise volume. Volume 6 was also like this. The jokes were basically, how outrageous can we make Nora? Who would win in an arm wrestling match between Yang and Nora? But what made Nora comparable to Yang that I would want that in the first place? I'm not sure. Was it trying to be cute, I guess? Fan service? Probably. Also, they talk about how they're not kids compared to now, but still act the same? Things were weird. The humor almost felt like it was either for RWBY Chibi or was supposed to be funny for diehard fans, or funny for fan service, or I'm not sure who at this point anymore. It just didn't land well with me. And I guess quite a few people, I don't know. And I guess like a few people on their YouTube videos. Another thing that fell flat for me was the fast circle animation. It just makes movements look less cool, but I get it. It's faster to animate this instead of frame by frame. Kind of weird, but I get it. But I won't deny that it's not distracting. And now characters. Raven being remarked as clever constantly, but only did one clever thing all volume long was disappointing. The only clever thing she did, spoiler alert. Okay, ready? You're about to be spoiled unless you leave. Ready? Okay. Spoiler. She just tricked Cinder into thinking someone else was the Spring Maiden. That's it. Raven trying to take the relic for herself wasn't a big deal to me because I saw it coming. Coming up with something clever is coming up with something that no one on the spot thinks about and probably will never think about. Like, when Game of Thrones characters outwit each other and the audience is shocked. Like, of course Raven was gonna try to take the relic for herself, Cinder. She's the Spring Maiden and she's scared of Salem. The headmaster was predictable, but I mean, what else can you do with his character? Adam was cliche, and I don't understand how the leader of the White Fang was so... How not to spoil this. I just don't get how someone so strong has quite a disappointing way of losing her control. Let me put it that way. I think the only unpredictable character was Hazel, because he came out of nowhere. Consider Hazel a delightful surprise, and also that thing he did that I'm also not sure what that was exactly, but you know what? I get what it does, so I'm not that stupid. Cool. Okay, now the big question. The fights in the Grimm? Disappointing. You might as well count the fight with Weiss and the Bumblebee Queen thing as memorable as the big one. It's the final fight of the whole season, and it's not on screen, and when it is, it's slow and nothing suspenseful or exciting happens. Nothing. It just cuts to and from everywhere. Honestly, this is the one time I was truly excited for a fight, especially with Raven and Crow in the same fight. However, this fight just doesn't deliver. It just doesn't. It doesn't. The fight with Cinder and Raven is better, but there's this one stupid part where they just make really big swords, and it looks ridiculous. I don't know what else there is to say. It was great, and then big swords. Like, okay? Now, I know what you're thinking. So then Volume 6. Pidquin, is this where you came back? Not really. I didn't even start watching it until at least half of it was released. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Episodes 1 and 2, I skimmed. Almost. Something was up with my internet. I couldn't bother with finishing the last few minutes of the first episode, so I pressed on to the second one. And I wasn't impressed by the second episode either. However, episodes 3 through 8 were very good. These episodes contain everything I was hoping RWBY would come back to. We have Grimm with scary lore, we have a good fight that lasts 60 seconds, but it's worth it. We have, background story time. I'm a sucker for story times. It's really cool. There were less fast circle animations in the 60-second fight. It kept me going. We have a good sense of character development. It was good. I don't know what to tell you. It was good. And then it ends, and we get strange humor. Not too much development in the villains, but I guess just Emerald, because nothing comes of most of this later with Mercury. So I pressed on. The annoying lady they introduced with her goons weren't too funny. Like, at first they were, and the second time onward they were just overkill. Also, her fit with Maria doesn't land well either, at least not to me. Maria is a pretty cool character, but the humor surrounding her isn't humor to look forward to. It's basically just her yelling insults. She was only funny to me during the Lost Woods episode when she told them to close the door, and the loss of a character who would have been really cool to see make some sort of comeback it's just a declining hill for him, I guess. They made it too black and white of a situation for this character's end to end some other way, I guess. I honestly thought he'd be more useful, especially after we hear about Salem in episode 3, but I guess none of that matters because of a certain ship crashing into him. There's nothing too exciting fight-wise. I don't even think the fight where Blake and Ying fought together was impactful because they literally fought through something and it's just solved. It just ends. There's nothing. It literally just ends. They don't talk about it again. It somehow never bothers them again, even if it was something that bothered them for quite some time. It just didn't seem realistic or impactful, and it wasn't even an impactful ending to the characters. It just ends. I could do a whole video on just this fight and the outcome alone just to convey this better, but do I even want to? Not really. The last fight of the volume wasn't too memorable for me, but it was okay. It brought out wit from the characters, but nothing too impactful either. So Pitquin, what about volume 7? Okay, listen, I swear it's worth it. It's just complicated. I swear coming back to RWBY is worth it. It's just... okay. Bear with me. Volume 7 doesn't pick up till episode 6, but it really picks up on episode 6. The villains are actually clever. I like Tyrion more as a villain because he's making great villain moves. Big things happen in this volume, okay? So let me get the cons out of the way, but the cons aren't even that bad. Cons for volume 7 are as follows. 1. They still keep the not frame by frame circle animations. 2. The pacing is slow till halfway through the volume. 3. Character development's pacing is slow, then fast, then slow again. 4. Some characters have annoying nickname skills. Let me explain. I think we can all forgive the not frame by frame circle animations because fights are very easy to follow in Volume 7. Almost every character standing in the room is used for the fight, especially after Episode 6. There is a big plot hole I saw with Episode 6, but if I say how and why, it's gonna ruin the episode for you, but I think it can be slightly overlooked. Pacing is slow, but plot-wise, it's pretty consistent from Episode 6 onwards. Like I said, there's a lot of big things happening in this volume. It's the setup that is worth the wait this time. It's worth it. Plot-wise, something is always cooking in the back burner of this volume. It's good pacing. Character development-wise, I don't know what to tell you. It starts okay. Like, General Ironwood's character development is well paced until about episode 9, 10, 11. It's weird. Then his progress gets very fast, only to slow down to the character he is in Volume 8, with almost no 2 reasons to get there, which isn't too bad, but had they slowed down his process of development or shown 1 or 2 other cuts or reasons why, it would have been smoother. Ruby's development is fine. Oscar is okay. I think he should have been brought out more, but he definitely is focused on something else. Ren and Nora's development actually got me to care about Nora herself. I never cared for this character up until Volume 7. I know, sad. For me, I guess. Why Yang and Blake are good. Crow has development that you have to kinda pay attention to, which is fine. Lots of background and subtlety happens in this volume, and not everything has to be baby fed to people. I think Winter's development could have been better. I know she's supposed to be like the new characters and their like-mindedness. However, she's so like them that she almost doesn't even stand out anymore in Volume 8 currently. with only 7 episodes out. Speaking of which, the new characters' developments, the Aesops, are definitely slow when you first getting to know them, but then it picks up when they train with Team RWBY, and then they become one-track-minded characters. And now some characters have annoying nickname skills con. I don't mind the nicknaming so much, but they seem to have every new character this season hand out nicknames. It's weird. One of the new Aesops does it, and like Robin does it. Some can gloss over this one. I honestly just didn't like it. Nor do I care for any of the Aesops. You guys might, but I just couldn't care for any of them. And one in particular. Okay, so the pro. The story of Volume 7 is really good once it picks up. Not only is it good, but it helps set up a lot for Volume 8. The fights are much better than previous volumes. I think the only one I was disappointed with was Episode 11's fight. And yes, they slow it down, but it's in a very artistic and entertaining way that you can see the action and why they slowed down that specific action. Are the fights this season exhilaratingly perfect? No. But are they really good and entertaining? Yes. Are they worth it? Yes. Interactions with characters are the best I've seen in a while. There's actually tension when there's supposed to be. A tender, awkward moment actually feels awkward but tender. Dialogue is much better, cleaner, and conveyed better. It really either moves the plot forward or helps the audience understand how characters are feeling towards one another. And that's not even involving body language. It's well delivered and well received. Lastly, about this volume, it's definitely better. Not 100% better, but definitely much better. Even the subtle jokes are funny. Like Jean saying he likes Nora's outfit. You'll know when you get there. You'll know. I wasn't fully with the Thunder Thighs, but it's probably funny to some people, I'm sure. So there you have it. But Pidquin, what about Volume 8? Well, only half of it is out, and it seems very worth it to me. The fights have been pretty good, even if one fight angered me because a character very slowly and predictably got behind one of the main characters, but it was fine. The fights so far have been good and made sense as to why certain characters took certain actions within those fights. Character development kinda remains to be seen as some characters are not in every episode, but I look forward to what they might bring in the future episodes for certain characters. Or some just started because they just now made a heavy decision and there's been no outcome of it so far. Character interactions with each other make loads of sense and have great chemistry. If I feel a certain character needs to chill, so do other characters. If some characters feel something weird happen, so do I. That being said, with RWBY, there's only 7 episodes out. RWBY is something worth coming back to, but I fear the worst is coming. I think that the series itself is ending, which sucks because it just now got me back into it. Why do I think this? Because there's a pretty huge big battle happening, and things are only getting worse. And both sides seem to be exhausting their resources. You'll see what I mean when you get there. I'm really hoping I'm wrong and Volume 8 has more episodes and the series has more volumes. I know a good way to drive the plot is to have all the "we can't let this happen" events happen, but right now things are looking kind of grim. I really hope that driving people back to RWBY now that it's getting good will encourage Rooster Teeth to keep RWBY going to a much further and satisfying end. Anyway, that's just my take on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Or if you know something I don't, please let me know. I kind of made this video on a whim because my passion for RWBY is pretty much back at this point. Like I said, you'll have to get through volumes 5 and 6 to get to the second half of volume 7, but it's worth it. Anyway, see you all later. I hope you have a good one.